Back, everybody. Welcome back to the I Got a Girl podcast with Coach Jackie here, your freedom mentor. I am so excited to do this episode because this is very near and dear to my heart. If you've ever heard of have you ever had like a SmackDown year, the year that taught you so much? Well, 2024 was that year for me, and it was a very unknown year of filled with adversity that gave me the biggest gifts and growth that I've ever experienced. So let's bring you back to October 2023 when my husband and I had been about 3.5 years into our nomadic RV lifestyle. And we decided that we were just kind of needed a break. I was getting tired and my inner knowing was kind of saying, okay, settle down for a bit. I didn't know why, but I just knew that we needed to just kind of take a step back and chill. So we planted our RV out here in Gypsum, Colorado. And as I'm recording this, I'm still there. And my husband took a job out here and we just decided to settle. Well, that was September of 2023. October of 2023, I got this feeling that something was weird going on with my parents who were back in Jersey at the time. And I called them every Sunday and I couldn't reach them for a couple Sundays. And I know my parents back then had a life more than I did. They were always going and doing fun stuff, but it was weird not to talk to them on a Sunday. And so I reached out to my brother and he said, "Didn't you hear that, Bev went into the hospital?" And Bev was my stepmom of over 40 years. And she had ended up in the hospital. And my dad, which we weren't aware of, had early onset dementia, but she had been taking care of him and kind of keeping it undercover. So with my mom in the hospital, my dad couldn't be alone in the house. So my brothers were taking care of him. So this immediately when I heard this from my brother, I was like, I'm coming back east. I'm going to come and help you guys out and take care of dad. And because of the business that I built back in 2019 and still have to this day with Jackie Cote coaching, because of that business, I have the ability to kind of just drop everything and go. And I'm so blessed that I said yes to myself back then. So fast forward, I go back east, take care of my dad, live with him for about 2 months from November and December into the beginning of January. I was pretty much his sole caretaker in the household. Now, any of you out there have gone through any kind of caretaking of a parent with any kind of dementia, Alzheimer's, stuff like that? It is very different than the person that you knew growing up with. And there were so many things that were happening in the sundowning time frame with my father that I had never ever thought I would experience with my dad. My dad's like me. We're pretty chill, friendly, outgoing, happy-go-lucky, positive people. But when that sun went down and that dementia that he went that sundowning with dementia, he turned into someone that was screaming and yelling and telling me he was going to die, call the ambulance now. And it was insane. And it was something that I just did not expect, not expect at all. So in within the first couple of days of taking care of my dad in that 2 months, 2.5 month time frame, I realized that I had been such that fierce I got it girl that I came back thinking that I could take care of this, I could fix this, I could do it all on my own. And I wasn't further from the truth than I had ever been. And I had a friend on a phone call at one point in like day two. I was called him crying and I was like, I just can't. I don't know. This is harder than I thought. And he stopped and he paused and he said, you're gonna hate me for telling you this, and that's okay. He goes, but you can't do this alone and you think you can. You can't fix dementia and you think you can. You think you can just come here and just take care of it. And it's just that's not the way it works. And I was like, oh, you don't know me. So after that phone call, I reached out to my brothers and I was like, listen, I'm like, I will fully take care of him, but every 10 days I need someone to come in here for a day or two so that I can go recuperate and recharge. And so I would go and get a hotel room for like a day and a half, and I mean like for overnight stay, and or I'd go to a friend's house. I would do something to give my own self-care. I just asked for help. I realized that this is not something I can do on my own. And what I also realized is I could not be his daughter and his caretaker at the same time. I had to separate that. So when I went into the nighttime zone where things were pretty rough for about a week and a half until it calmed down, I realized that like I can't sit there in the emotional state of his daughter. I had to be in the state of his caretaker. So fast forward, we get my dad this amazing place in the beginning of January. We placed him into this place he's been in there for now over the 2 years, since then. Um, and I got home from getting him, and I sat there with this such an accomplished feeling. I came out here to take care of him and get him placed in a safe place because my stepmom still was in the hospital and she never actually ended up coming home from the hospital. She went from hospitals to facilities for an entire year. And I'll get to that part of the story in a minute. And and during that time frame, once I placed him and I came home back to the house that my parents were living in, but they're no longer there. So this house is now empty. I've got one parent in the hospital, one parent in memory care, and it all happened so fast, right? And I burst into tears when I got home. And you would think I was bursting into tears because of the emptiness of the home and my parents being, in totally different places than I'd ever experienced before. But what I was crying about is what I realized in that 2 months time frame with my dad. Even though the evenings were tough at times and I didn't sleep at all for 2 months because you're on high alert when you're not sure if your dad's going to get up and walk out of the house, I realized that I just didn't have any personal time with my dad growing up. And this was the first time in the container of dementia that I got alone time with my dad. I'm the baby of six and two stepkids. And my stepmom was a new relationship for my father a couple years after my mom passed. And there was always, always someone there. And I never got solo time with my dad. No daddy daughter dances, no daddy daughter time, dates, nothing like that. Because there just wasn't any time. He was trying to raise a family without my mom who passed away, and then trying to establish a relationship with my stepmom so that I could have a mom, and then run his construction company because he was a business owner just like me. I was the only kid who did business owner, which is that's a whole nother episode. So I was crying and I realized like I finally got the alone time. And some of the fun times that my dad and I had, I just got to share real quick, is we would, if you're an East Coaster, you know what Wawa is. So we'd go into the Wawa and buy his favorite turkey and cheese sub, and we'd split it. It would feed us like two different meals. So they're so big. And so we would sit at the lake and watch the ducks, and we would draw in the sand because it had like a sand bank of the beat of the lake, and we would just laugh. And he told me things that I never heard from him for my entire life, of how proud he was of me. I knew he loved me. He did tell me that, but he's like, how beautiful I am, just all these amazing things that I just never got. So I got all these. I healed this childhood wound that I didn't realize I had in this highly adverse situation, challenging situation I was in. And we don't always realize the gifts that we're given and the adversity that is going on in life because it's hard. I get it. And if we could just take a moment, and this is when I created this acronym called PAR, I would take moments and I would pause and assess the current situation that I felt either stressed about or anxiety or upset or whatever. I would first pause, then I would assess, and then I would react. I would respond instead of react, because most of the time when we're in high stress situations, we react, right? So I would pause and assess so that I had time to respond instead of react to situations. And then the last two R's stand for something that I just didn't realize were so important, that in those moments we get to receive what the gifts are that are meant for us, and we get to release what doesn't serve us. There was many, many situations amongst family members that were just not pleasant during those couple months and throughout that year of 2024. And I had to really, really, really sit in the car, pausing, assessing, responding instead of reacting, releasing and receiving the gifts. So that was the first situation. So I came home from that couple months with my dad, and back to the RV with my husband, who was so supportive of all my craziness, but he was like, super supportive of me. Just go, I'll take care of the home front, the dogs, all the things. And then about a month into it, I was trying to reach my mom in the hospital in the facility, and I couldn't reach her. And I kept hearing things about her stroking out and issues and going from the hospital back to the facility, back to the hospital, back to the facility. And something didn't sit right. And so I looked at my husband and he said, go. So I left again. I went back home for a couple months and spent every day by her bedside to observe and be an advocate for what I did not think was being taken care of properly. You just know, we have this inner knowing and we just got to listen to it. And what I was finding was that they were not taking care of her in her blood pressure was the main issue, which was looking like she was stroking out, but literally she would fall to the floor and because she was getting up too fast or whatever. So we were able to work some things out that was able to like talk with some nurses and at the hospital, tell them what I've observed. And it was they were able to help figure out how to monitor and regulate her blood pressure in a better way so that she could actually sit up and eat because she wouldn't even be able to eat. And so from that point on, my mom was able to have a little bit better quality of life, but she basically was wheelchair bound the rest of that year. And watching her go through this transition of a woman who I learned how to be the I got it girl from her in a really good way, in a challenging way too. And watching her try to grasp on to severe control when she's in a situation that's completely out of her control. Her body was deteriorating. My dad's mind was deteriorating. His body was great. My mom's body was deteriorating. Her mind was still sharp and still alert. And so I had the duality of watching both of them in two different scenarios. And with hers, she very much held on as much as she could to what she could control. And it wasn't until the last 2 months of her life, because she passed in that November of 2024, it wasn't until the last like month or so of her life where she finally let go, allowed herself to cry, allowed herself to feel, allowed herself to be angry and upset and sad and scared and all those things because she wouldn't. And I get that we do that from a place of survival to hold back vulnerability and hold that off because it's strong and strength, but that's total BS. And watching her shift out of that control those last couple months into the place of trusting, surrendering, trusting, and letting go was beautiful. But why did it have to happen? Why did it have to wait until she was 86? Right? And so that's why my mission got even stronger after 2024. My mission to help women let go of that control and that from fear and survival and step into, and I didn't realize I was living a life from fear, survival, and control until I realized a new way, another way. And this other way of moving into thriving from a place of love, surrendering and trusting, letting go of the wheel, letting God, letting universe, whatever your jam is, support you. And that was to watch her solidified my mission, and that I don't want people to have to wait that long. I don't want women to wait that long to let go and live the freedom life. Now, here's the interesting part about all this adversity. I had another stint after I came home from my stepmom. I went back and had to take care of my stepdaughter, who had her fourth surgery after getting hit head on the day that her father and I got married in May 2023. That's a whole nother episode. um, excuse me. And she needed support for a couple months. So I was able to take care of her and my grandson for a couple months. So I was gone in 2024 for a solid 8 to 9 months out of the 12 months and left my husband, my life, my dogs to take care of. And that was a choice. And I chose each one of them. And each one of them, they really, really healed something inside of me. Observing each one, being there for each one helped me so much. But here's an amazing thing that came from all of that. You would think being away from your partner for so long could harm the relationship or hurt the relationship, right? That helped me let go even more. And I titled this Surrender and Surrender Some More. So that I was pretty much forced to allow my husband to support me and take care of me and take care of everything because I did not have the capacity. I did not have the capacity to do the I got it girl, take care of all of it, fix everything, solve everything that I did my whole life that year. And so what it taught me was when I let go and stepped more into the feminine energy of allowing to receive help from others, it created more of this ability for my husband to finally be allowed, not his fault. It's mine because I've lived such a masculine energy life for so long, being the I got it girl, that I wouldn't allow myself to lean back and surrender and trust and let another human or humans, plural, because a lot of people supported me that year, support me and do kind things for me and allow myself to receive it all. So I came home after, I can't remember if it was after my dad's visit or my mom's visit, but I came home. I gave my husband this really big hug, and I'm short. For those of you who don't know me, I'm only 5'1/4" and I land underneath my husband's like chin, and he's got that goatee stuff going on, and he smelled really good. And I was like, "Oh, what's that? Like, why do you smell so good?" And he's like, "I got beard oil, and I invested in some stuff for like, my for my own care." And so I paused, and I this light bulb just like blew up in my head in a good way, and I was like, "Oh my gosh." By me letting go of control, it's allowing him to step into his masculine supportive energy for me. And I don't know why beard oil triggered this whole epiphany of how amazing and how much closer we had gotten, how much more me letting go of the control helped us become stronger than ever in our relationship. And so now, because of that year, not only am I a stronger coach for my clients and can go deeper with my clients because I went deeper, but I also have uh, taken our relationship to a new level. Because when we said for better, for worse, let me tell you, so much stuff has happened since better, for worse, May 2023. And it has just brought us closer and closer and closer because it's helped me let go of the control, step into trusting that the journey, understanding that everything is happening for a reason. And I know that's for true. I've believed that's true forever. And 2024 taught me at a deeper level how important it is to allow the journey to happen, to unfold, to receive the lessons, to release doesn't serve me, to allow people to support me, to allow love in at a deeper level than I've ever let it in. And so 2024, as hard as it was to see my dad go through that, my stepmom go through that and pass away eventually, my stepdaughter go through what she went through, it was such a blessing, such a blessing. So I ask you today, like, to really look at whatever you're going through, whatever hard stuff, whatever challenges, whatever adversity, to really pause and assess what's going on and what can you receive? Like, what gifts can you receive in the moment? And what can you release that doesn't serve you? When something's not in your control, you got to release it. I had some challenging moments with some family members that I just like didn't understand, and I wanted to fight it. And I realized that everyone grieves in their own way, everyone's dealing with stuff differently, and it's not about me. If I can't control how someone else reacts to me or someone else is triggered by a situation and going through their own version of mourning and healing, that's out of my control. And if that's something that doesn't sit well with them when I'm around, I have to let it go. And I had to learn that quite a bit that year. So I leave you with this is par. How can you pause, assess, respond instead of react, receive, and release? 2024 definitely showed me and made me stronger in this area as a mentor to others as well as for myself, and made my relationship, and I know I always look that way when I talk about relationship if you're watching this on YouTube, because we're still in this 44-foot box together. We still love each other more than ever and living this freedom life together. And that year really helped make it even stronger. So if you like this episode, go ahead and give us a thumbs up wherever you're watching it or listening to it. Don't forget to follow, subscribe, and share this with somebody who might need to hear that adversity is the biggest growth plan and gift if you allow it to be. and maybe that some of the tools that I share today can help them get through it and get past it and understand how much it helped and gave back to them. And see you in the next one. You guys have a fabulous, fabulous day, night, whenever you're listening to this. Much love, Coach Jackie. Mwah.